depression, obesity, diabetes, and even brain atrophy. Today I will be talking about how prolonged screen time and a lack of physical and non-electronic activity affects a child's mental and physical health. I have two little mini audience members watching today, and they'll be showing us a little demonstration later on. This topic can be applied to all of us because we will all be in contact with a child at some point in our lives, whether that be our own children, family members' children, or even just contact with children while we're out and about. I'm sure we've all seen that meltdown that the little kid has when you're at a restaurant or a store and mom or dad takes the cell phone away. I'm going to explain why children should be limited with the amount of time they spend staring at a screen and should be encouraged to get more physical activity or activities that do not require electronics. We will talk about what is considered prolonged screen time, how it affects children's health, and what we can do to encourage less screen time. Let's begin with my first point and explain what prolonged screen time actually means. Prolonged screen time, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, is anything more than 1 hour for children from ages 2 to 5, and that hour of screen time should be an educational television show or an educational game. It is also anything longer than 2.5 hours for children aged over 6, and we should be placing limits on their screen time and making sure we stay consistent with those limits. Now that you know what is considered prolonged screen time, let's discuss the effects it has on children's mental and physical health. Too much time playing on electronics can lead to issues with mental health, such as anxiety, depression, and even deficiency in social skills. Studies have been done that show video game addiction can actually physically change the makeup of the brain. Cases of atrophy or shrinkage of the brain have been found, which mostly affect the parts of our brain that are responsible for decision making, impulse control, and prioritizing or planning. I'm going to show you a little example. Hey sis, do you want to come outside and play?
Mom, I'm watching a video.
Oh. Grumpy. Hey bud.
Hi, Mommy.
What are you doing?
Playing.
Oh, you having fun?
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, there's a difference in attitude and demeanor there. Prolonged screen time does not only play havoc on a child's mental health, but it is also greatly linked to issues with their physical health as well. These health issues include high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes, just to name a few. Another huge issue is childhood obesity, which can easily become a lifelong issue and greatly impact a child and an adult's quality of life. An article from the CDC showed a study that said 1/3 of kids high school age spend an average of at least 3.5 hours or more just playing video games on school nights, and that they have almost 2 times the odds of becoming overweight or obese. Now let's move on to how we can encourage kids to participate in activities that do not involve electronics. One thing we can do is encourage children to have at least 1 hour of physical activity a day. According to Dr. Pelzer from the Iowa Clinic, a child who has regular physical activity will have better cardiorespiratory fitness, stronger bones and muscles, and higher energy levels. They will also have an enhanced sense of emotional well-being and better weight control. Their risk for a variety of diseases is much, much lower. When physical activity is not an option, you can always try an activity that does not involve an electronic device. As a mother of 2, and one on the way, I definitely understand how handing your child a phone or a tablet when you're at a restaurant can be much more convenient. However, we have to ask ourselves if we're really benefiting our children. Why not pack a little Ziploc baggie with some activities, maybe some crayons or some coloring pages, something like tic-tac-toe, a word search. Those things can occupy their little minds just as well as a tablet can. I have a little example here. We pack these little baggies, mostly for the youngest one if we're going to restaurants or doctor's offices or whatever. So he has something to do. Now that we have covered the main points, let's conclude. Today I talked about the effects prolonged screen time has on children and how we can introduce physical and non-electronic activities to keep their minds and bodies busy and healthy. We talked about what is considered prolonged screen time. We talked about how it can affect a child's health. And we talked about what we can do to encourage our children to engage in less screen time. I hope I have convinced you why less screen time and more activities is so incredibly important in the enrichment of children's lives. Let's all encourage kids to spend more time outside, whether that be riding a bike or even just using their imaginations and drawing a picture. If we do this, we can provide them with a healthier, happier, and more successful future.